Hey, welcome everyone to this Habitat for Humanity briefing for the Zero Energy Ready Home program. And what we like to do today is to share with you how Zero Energy Ready Home is fully aligned with the mission of Habitat for Humanity. In fact, how Zero Energy Ready Home is truly affordable. So let's lay out our outline for this presentation. Basically, we'll talk about the affordability challenge right up front. Then we'll go into Habitat and DOE Zero Energy Ready Home and how the two are integrated so far. Then we'll walk through the specifications. In fact, how it's an easy lift from Energy Star, which will become the baseline for all new Habitat for Humanity construction. And then the recognition aspects of constructing to the Zero Energy Ready Home level. And finally, how to get started with Zero Energy Ready Home. So let's move right into the affordability challenge. It's always the very first question up front is, we really don't have a lot of bandwidth to increase the first cost of these homes, and how do we justify the what it takes to make these homes Zero Energy Ready Home qualified? And so I like to always start with this kind of new reality about housing in general, how when we look at building codes over time, and on the left axis have an energy use index scale, where high is more consumption, low numbers are less consumption, and then have a timeline, we see that the codes have gotten tremendously more rigorous over time, particularly in the last two cycles from 2006 IECC, the International Energy Conservation Code, to the 2012 International Energy Conservation Code. Almost a 40% increase from 2006 in that one big window. And what's very significant is as we've moved to 2009 and beyond, now going to 2018 and 2021 IECC, along for the ride with the extra energy efficient performance have come comfort, maintenance, and health challenges that have to be addressed to ensure affordability. So let's start with this big question: are homes affordable if they don't minimize comfort expenses, maintenance expenses, and health expenses, while also optimizing future value? In other words, even low-income households deserve the experience of having an asset like home, the largest purchase of a lifetime, be positioned so in the future they have a greater chance of increased value. So these, we believe, are direct links to affordability. And so let's look at them one at a time. The comfort expenses first, and how do we minimize those? And what happens when we go from a less efficient enclosure with less insulation and less airtightness to a more efficient enclosure with more insulation and more airtightness, as demonstrated by the wider construction, we see that the thermal flow that used to go through the less efficient enclosure is now substantially reduced. On top of that, the inside surface what happens is that you wind up on the comfort side with going from a more airflow heating cooling system with shorter swing seasons to a comfort system that has much less airflow and much longer swing seasons. And the reason this is a affordability and comfort challenge is that heretofore we've been installing HVAC systems, often with very limited attention to a lot of the engineering, sizing, quality of installation. And so maintaining airflow in a completely new kind of reality for comfort can be difficult. And with longer swing seasons, we also have not been including dehumidification strategies in a very confident way. And so as we stretch the swing seasons and don't have accidental dehumidification from air conditioning for a longer period of time on the front and the back end of the swing seasons, we may be increasing moisture issues. So comfort expenses can go high as we start increasing or decreasing the set point for cooling to get more dehumidification, and also to overcome probably airflow issues that also create discomfort. So comfort is a real challenge that we have to address in high-performance enclosure homes. The second challenge is maintenance expenses. And again, the same condition happens with more efficient enclosures having less airflow, but it also results in a colder surface on the cold side of the cavity. So that inside surface is colder, we have less heat flow going through, which means less drying, colder surfaces. So we have more wetting potential and less drying potential than we used to have with less efficient enclosures where there was more heat flow and the cold surfaces were not as cold. So there we are, we have potential maintenance issues if we're creating potentials for moisture and mold challenges in homes that are greater. And the third issue we talked about with health expenses, and the reason those come up is, again, with a more efficient enclosure and more air tightness, we have the potential to accumulate more contaminants since we have less natural dilution with air infiltration at higher levels and less efficient enclosures. So now we have to figure out that we have to maintain airflow exchanges inside the home that also are diluting the contaminants that were done more naturally with leaky construction. And there's a lot of strategies for how we do that in terms of source control and dilution and filtration that we'll talk about later. So the last part we mentioned at the end was optimizing future value. And in terms of meeting or exceeding future expectations, we need to deliver homes that will be ready for these new challenges. And so it's a three-pronged strategy for how we do that. First, step one is we have to optimize energy efficient performance. And the two ways we do that, again, with the energy efficient enclosure. And second, once we have that efficient enclosure, recognize that the components inside the home now account for more than half the energy use of the home, and we want to reduce their energy consumption. And the good news is that when we choose energy efficient components, not only do they save money, they often work better and last longer. Step two is we want to now do no harm. We want to address those three challenges that we just talked about. We want to provide comprehensive water protection, knowing that there's greater wetting potential with less drying potential. Second, we want an ensured comfort system, knowing that we have less airflow and that we have longer swing seasons. So we want a comfort system that's ready to maintain comfort and not force occupants to change set points, increase energy use, and also to be challenged being comfortable in their home. And third, we want a comprehensive indoor air quality strategy, knowing the homes are much, much more airtight. As I mentioned, we want source control, keeping contaminants out of materials and from getting inside the home. We want dilution, where we provide fresh air to dilute the contaminants that are in the home. And we want filtration to be effective in the airflow system with ducts to pull contaminants out of the airstream that's going through the air handler. So those are our strategies for how we do no harm to enable us to leverage the optimum efficiency. And finally, the last step is we want to be future ready. Again, we want to optimize future value. Solar costs are going through tremendous innovations and cost reductions. Batteries are in a 10x innovation cycle. So we want to be sure to do no cost, low cost construction measures that make the home solar ready in the future. And what this means is that whenever an occupant, even a low income occupant, wants to take advantage of solar, whether it be by themselves or with various programs for low income households, it will be minimize cost and minimize disruption to do so, because those low cost, no cost details are embedded in how the home was built. And if you do all those three steps, you earn the label Zero Energy Ready Home. And I would submit, for low income households, this is the most affordable way to build homes. Again, you'll have the energy costs that every month are so great, they can offset the increased monthly expense to include them, along with the do no harm measures and zero ready improvements.
Great, thank you, Sam. Hello, everybody. This is Jamie Lyons. I have the privilege of serving as the technical director for the DOE Zero Energy Ready Home program and work with Sam in that capacity. So I'm going to pick up the next two sections here, starting with the specific experience of Habitat affiliates working with the Zero Energy Ready Home program. So this is a fun slide that we have to continuously update because the numbers continue to grow. you can see that there's a pretty good footprint of Habitat affiliates working within the Zero Energy Ready Home program, 22 affiliates in 14 different states, creeping up on over 100 certified homes. And then on the right side, you can see the Housing Innovation Awards, which is a program, award program run through the DOE Zero Ready program that simply recognizes the best of the best. And so there's been several affiliate and Habitat projects recognized as Housing Innovation Award winners. You can see here graphically, the blue states are those where we have affiliates participating in the Zero Energy Ready Home program. And then where we see those logos, those are the Housing Innovation Award winning affiliates, with 3 in Florida, 1 in North Carolina, and a couple up in Michigan, doing some really good projects there. And we also point out that when those affiliates that do win housing awards are successful, they take advantage of that in local market attention. Here's a press release celebrating Catawba Valley's housing award back in 2016. Here's some social media from an affiliate in Florida. So just to show that there's been a lot of visibility for some of the Habitat programs working within the program. Everybody who's looking at the program understandably wants to understand, well, what goes into these homes? And our experience in working with lots of affiliates at this point is that there's a pretty good baseline at the level of Energy Star homes. So the way we unpack the specifications for Zero Energy Ready is to showcase and describe what those homes need above and beyond Energy Star to qualify for DOE Zero Energy Ready Home. So starting with the basics, the eligible building types, they're the same as you'll find with the Energy Star Certified Homes program. Single family attached and detached, multifamily up to 5 stories. And the focus is very much on new construction. We do have a few gut rehabs come through the programs, but for the most part, it's a new construction focus. And that's true of both Energy Star and DOE Zero Energy Ready. And this slide, this will sort of be our template that we'll unpack the specs for. And you can see we have 4 benchmarks on the bottom row, working from a Code House 2012 IECC through Energy Star version 3, 3.1, and then Zero Energy Ready Home. And we call this our stair-step diagram, and in that it shows for different building systems how code relates to Energy Star, and how Energy Star relates to DOE Zero Energy Ready Home. And as you can see, the yellow highlighted boxes that we're showing now, those are those elements in a Zero Energy Ready Home that go above and beyond Energy Star homes. And I'll unpack these one by one to give the group an idea of how Zero Ready differs from Energy Star. And I think at the end of this, most affiliates will see that the delta, the step up, is very cost effective, makes a lot of sense. And in many cases, we'll work with builders considering the program, and they're already doing a lot of these additional measures. So we'll start at the base row there, the HERS index. The HERS index, I call it the measuring stick for the home's efficiency. I'm sure many affiliates are already aware of the HERS system and work with HERS raters. So you can see way over there, the Code House is in the 70s, Energy Star homes are lower, and the DOE Zero Energy Ready homes tend to be in the high 40s or low 50s. And if you're asking yourself, okay, what number will my project be? It'll depend on this thing called the target home. The target home is a twin. It's a replica of the design home, but in the modeling software that your rater will use, the target home is dialed into certain specs. And you can see here, if you're using a furnace in climate zone 5, for example, the target home assumes it's a 94% efficient furnace. Your design home might be higher, might be lower. That's okay. It's just that the rating software will compare the design home against the exact same home, the target home, dialed into these specs. And at the end of the modeling, the design home needs to have a HERS index equal to or better than that of the target home. So here's what we see based on some modeling of typical home types. As I said, HERS values to reach Zero Ready and meet the requirement for the program mid-50s, low 40s in some cases. Again, Energy Star version 3 is in the upper 60s to low 70s. And Energy Star version 3.1, which is in effect in 13, 14, 15 states at this point, that ratchets down the HERS index more into the high 50s. This is a really key slide that we update each and every year. And this data comes from ResNet, and they look out over all the ratings that occurred last year in 2019, and there's over 240,000, so a big chunk of the market. And this is the first time we've seen the average HERS index dip below 60, 59. And as we just saw on the last slide, the HERS values that are needed to qualify for Zero Ready, for the efficiency threshold, they're going to be right in that neighborhood. So we estimate there's tens of thousands, perhaps 100,000 homes that already are checking the box on their HERS index that they would need to qualify for Zero Energy Ready Home. So pretty powerful signal that the market continues to move towards lower and lower HERS indexes. Here's an example, one of many, many examples of Habitat affiliates with homes that have very good HERS scores. This one's in Florida and shows a HERS value of 49. And we can point to many other examples, but just a quick snapshot. So that's the HERS index, the efficiency measuring stick for Zero Energy Ready Home. The next row up we see is the building enclosure. And we can see code obviously has that code vintage of building enclosure required. Energy Star points to an 09 enclosure for version 3, or a version 2012 enclosure for version 3.1. Currently, Zero Ready anchors to an enclosure at least as good as the specifications for the building envelope found in the 2015 code. The way most projects get there, they let the rating software evaluate the total envelope, and this thing called the UA calculation lets designers trade off a little more insulation in one area versus a little less in another, as long as the end result, the area weighted envelope with all the different R factors, is at least as good as that same envelope built to meet the 2015 R value levels. And again, just a little kicking the tires here to see what the R value levels look like. This is a snapshot for climate zone 4, a mixed climate, and climate zone 5, a colder climate. And you can get a sense of what the R values look like for different parts of the assembly. For example, R20 or R13 plus 5 walls, R49 ceilings. By and large, most builders, affordable builders and others, they look at these and say, yeah, these are things we're doing already, or if not, we can easily do. I'd say most builders are already building an envelope to these levels. We often get the question, well, what are some of the envelope options Zero Energy Ready home builders are using? And we dive into more detail on that in our longer training sessions, but just a real quick snapshot because I know there's interest in this topic. Here's a menu of the wall options that we see being used by Zero Energy Ready partners. We have advanced framing, OVE framing in 2x6 construction, and sometimes that's just typical 2x6. We have a handful of builders using what's called staggered studs, where the actual studs are only 2x4, so they don't go fully across the cavity. They're either flush with the inside face or flush with the outside face, while the plates themselves are 2x6. That eliminates interior to exterior bridging through the studs. We see different types of rigid insulation being used as exterior sheathing. Sometimes that rigid insulation is used with a wood structural panel, and in a few designs without. We see SIPs, we see ICFs, and a handful of our builders in colder climates are going with a double wall assembly. So 2 framed walls in parallel, which provides a very deep cavity for more insulation. Windows. The program also has a requirement for pretty good windows. Most of these values are tied to Energy Star window specs, but you can see what they look like here. The windows in a cold climate, for example, have to have a U value of at least 0.30. Again, most of our builders are in the program, affordable or otherwise, don't have a lot of difficulty meeting the window specs. And here's a snapshot of what they look like. The next three items, you might be wondering, why do we just check them all at once? The reason being, each of those, the independent verifier, the water management, and a quality installed HVAC system with whole house ventilation, each of those three is part and parcel of the Energy Star Homes program, which is a prerequisite for DOE Zero Ready. So as an affiliate may consider the Zero Ready program, these items are already happening for builders that are already meeting Energy Star. And just a few quick words about each. The independent verifier is really critically important because it's an independent set of eyes. It's doing plan review. It's looking over specifications. It's doing some preliminary modeling of the home to see what the energy performance looks like. And it's that extra set of eyes and added assurance and accountability that a lot of the things that we're talking about, and things that Sam mentioned, like the water management, those items are being done, and we can be assured of that. It helps deal with the risk management. Next item is water management. There's a water management checklist in Energy Star. If you look at that, you might come to the conclusion, well, a lot of these things are in the code, and that's true. A lot of them are, but we're building really well air sealed, really airtight houses. We want to make sure we're not skipping over and missing one key water management detail, which can turn into a chronic water problem. So there's a water management checklist that's checked and verified. And then lastly, the HVAC QI, which is quality installation with whole house ventilation. Sam spoke earlier about comfort issues and indoor air quality. You know, having a solid, well-designed HVAC system installed that same way, along with whole house ventilation for fresh air, is just critically important. And it's important in these homes, and really it's important even in a code minimum house because they're built very tight today too. So those three components are really critical to both Energy Star and DOE Zero Energy Ready. Next, we'll keep climbing up the ladder, and we'll spend a moment talking about an optimized duct location. You know, ducts are not always at the top of the list when people are thinking about the performance and efficiency of a home. But consider this example quickly. On the left, we have a very high efficiency furnace and a very mediocre duct system. And on the right, a very mediocre furnace and a much higher performance duct system. And it might be surprising, but the overall system efficiency, when you combine those two components together, you know, it's much better with a really good duct system and a mediocre furnace. In our program, really, we want to have the high efficiency equipment plus the high performance duct system. So we really get the highest overall system performance. And just another quick word about the importance of ducts. In the Southeast, FSEC, Florida Solar Energy Center, has done a lot of research on variable speed, high efficiency AC systems. And it's an interesting dynamic if that kind of a system has ductwork up in an attic, because variable speed runs a longer time, there's more time where there's a low airflow and that air is up in an attic duct, it takes a real hit on the efficiency savings. When ducts are not in conditioned space, that high CR21 system offers 27% savings over a baseline. But if we get the ducts in conditioned space, it offers 40% savings. So it really enables savings from high performance equipment, put the ducts in a good spot. So here's a toolkit of all kinds of different duct locations which are recognized by the Zero Energy Ready Home program. You can take a quick glance at those. I won't walk through each of them. But by and large, most builders in the program, may already be doing this, or if they're not, they can find a solution that works for them. It is a bit more work for builders building slab on grade where they traditionally have put it up in the attic. But as you can see, there are some solutions for that scenario as well, like modified attic trusses or ducts in an unvented attic, or perhaps even putting the ducts in the attic and using one of a couple approaches prescribed in our specs for how to air seal and insulate those ducts so they're still in an optimized location. And for any of these details, there's more information in our program specs, and we'll show you where to find them in a few minutes. There are a few common sense exceptions for the duct requirements. A little bit of duct can be outside of the thermal boundary. Sometimes a builder coming into the program hasn't gone through a full redesign yet, so there's a little bit of duct work outside. And jump ducts, if they're fully air sealed, can be routed through an attic as well. Next item we want to talk about is the Indoor Air Plus program certification. Again, we've mentioned it several times. These homes are really well air sealed. Even a code minimum house today is going to be very well air sealed. And while many builders typically do a decent number of things for indoor air quality, it's really at the point now it makes a lot of sense for risk management and to keep residents happy and healthy to just use a full package of indoor air quality measures. Let's not leave out something because we weren't thinking about it or might have overlooked it. The good news is there's an off-the-shelf program, so we don't need to reinvent the wheel on this, and we get that program in the form of Indoor Air Plus. Indoor Air Plus is built on Energy Star homes, as you see here, where Energy Star gives us a head start on IAQ. It includes things like whole house ventilation, for example. Indoor Air Plus rounds out the Energy Star program specs by adding a few additional measures you see here, like radon and pests and so on, to develop a complete IAQ package. And again, there's some code minimum things in here. There's some very common practice things in here, as we'll see. But the end product is a complete A to Z IAQ package. And these are things that are cost effective and they're very well vetted. This package has been out in the industry for several years now, so there have been hundreds of questions, and any of these sort of the poison pills or rough spots that might not have made as much sense have been adjusted. So it's a really good package at this point. I'll quickly walk through those items again that go above and beyond Energy Star that are found in Indoor Air Plus. Radon resistant construction. So this is required for homes that are located in a radon zone 1, and we'll see that map here in a moment. But you can see things here like the gas permeable gravel layer beneath the slab, plastic sheeting, sealing up any openings in the concrete floor, providing a vent pipe, a stack, so soil gases can exhaust up and out, and then having electrical supply somewhere in proximity to that stack should there be a need or desire to add an active fan-powered radon mitigation system. And we point out that we'll do a number of these things just for moisture control around the foundation. And we also point out radon test kits are not required. Here we can see the dark sort of red pinkish areas are radon zone 1. And in many cases, you know, if a zone is a high radon zone, radon mitigation is part of the building code. And if you're in a high radon zone and building really tight houses and radon mitigation is not required by the building code, I would submit that that's really a huge risk for indoor environmental quality and health. Next item is screened opening for pests. This is a good example of something that's in the code, but it's added to this complete IAQ system, so we're sure it's being done and it's verified and it's checked. Low emission materials are a really critical component as we build these airtight homes. There's a whole world of low emission products out there. And so we want to make sure we use them instead of putting in products that are going to off gas and then put chemical pollutants into this tight home, when we really have many better options for products. So the ones we look at in the IAP spec are low formaldehyde pressed wood, low formaldehyde cabinets, low VOC paints, and low VOC carpets, padding, and adhesives. EPA's approach to low emission products was not to reinvent the wheel. There is a wide range of third-party test methods and labeling programs that are already out there. You can see down here in the lower right, that's the Kitchen Cabinet Manufacturers Association, KCMA. They have a testing and sealing program that labels low emission cabinets. And there's a host of others that cover different product types. So the Indoor Air Plus spec points to these third-party labels and programs, and that's the basis for low emission products that meet Indoor Air Plus. as you might imagine, there's a lot of terminology involved. And so to make the job of builders, designers, raters, specifiers easier, the Indoor Air Plus program came up with a cheat sheet of what product seals to look for, to specify, etc. And that's what we see here on the right-hand side. It's a really helpful resource called How to Find IEP Compliant Low Emission Products. Carbon monoxide alarms, again, these are code requirements, but we build them into our complete IAQ system to make sure they're being done. There's a no smoking policy for multifamily as well. Here is an attached garage scenario, which may come into play in some cases. So as you might imagine, we don't want contaminants from the garage finding their way into the house. So one requirement for indoor air quality is to have a automatically closing gasketed door. And then on top of that, if the whole house ventilation system is exhaust based, so we have this green fan pulling air out of the house, we don't want that fan to accidentally draw in contaminants from the garage into the house. So there's two options under the Indoor Air Plus program. One is to install a garage exhaust fan, which instead draws air out of the garage to outdoors, or B, which is where 99% of our builders that find themselves in the scenario end up going, is to, as part of a blower door test, demonstrate through these metrics that there's a really good air seal between the house and the garage when the house is pressurized. The exact details here are sort of the purview of the rater and the blower door analysts. But again, the takeaway here is that for homes with an attached garage that use exhaust-based whole house ventilation, just really concentrate on the air sealing details here. And then this test diagnostic can be used to demonstrate there's a really good air sealing job between the garage and the house. Along the same lines, we want to keep, believe it or not, that is an HVAC system. We want to keep air handlers out of the garage so we don't entrain contaminants and then distribute them throughout the house through the duct system. Indoor Air Plus also restricts the use of building cavities as ductwork. You can see this leads to some different issues, and this has actually been a code requirement as well for a couple code cycles now, so it's probably already built into practices in most markets. We want to have high capture filtration, MERV 8 minimum. I'd say that's a pretty good filter. You can certainly go above and beyond that, but that's a nice, cost-effective and good performance filter. Sam mentioned dehumidification. For those more humid climates, Indoor Air Plus requires the installation of equipment that can maintain RH at or below 60%. Now that equipment could be humidity-based controls on the central cooling system, or it could be a supplemental dehumidification system. It could be one or the other. But the core principle is design a mechanical system that allows humidity in the home to be controlled. And again, this is important because these homes have such good envelopes. You know, when you get those first spring days where it's heating up and the home is so well insulated, the cooling system might not kick on, but you'll still have that humidity load to deal with. So we want some manner to deal with humidity that takes into account that sensible cooling is going to be much lower. And here you can see the little white hash marks down here in the southeast. That is where Indoor Air Plus implements that dehumidification requirement. But we have more and more stories, more and more interactions with builders in the program that they see a lot of the periods of the year that they have low sensible load, high latent load. That means it's not that hot, but it's humid, and they really feel better about risk management when they have some mechanical system that's designed to take care of the humidity in those scenarios. And they don't necessarily have to be in the far southeast. They might be in some of these other regions. So right near the top now, we want to talk for a moment about efficient components and hot water distribution. This is sort of a now and then image of energy use. The big pie, older homes, as we designed and built them 10, 20 or more years ago, they used more energy. And you can see that big green slice is the heating and cooling. That was typically well over half, maybe 2/3. of the energy use. But now, again, going back to these well air sealed, well insulated envelopes, heating and cooling make up, a minority of the building's energy use, and instead lighting, appliances, hot water, and miscellaneous loads are becoming more and more important part of our energy budget. So the Zero Ready program looks to just make Energy Star appliances anywhere where the builder is supplying those units. So these are pretty basic product specs for the refrigerator, dishwasher, clothes washer if the builder is supplying that. Fans as well, ceiling fans, as well as bath ventilation fans. I think a huge benefit of Energy Star bath fans as well is they're going to be more quiet as they operate. So homeowners will probably be a little more conducive to using them and not turning them off because they think they're too loud. And then lighting. Again, lighting is a really low cost, cost-effective efficiency upgrade. Minimum of 80% of the fixtures or the lamps should be Energy Star lighting, LED or CFL. Now for the hot water distribution. This one is a little bit like the ductwork. Hot water piping layout, again, is probably not on a whole lot of people's radar traditionally as a big component in a home's efficiency. But it really, if you think about it, the way the system is designed has a huge impact on water use as well as hot water heating or water heating energy. And so the Zero Ready program has a couple options as to how to limit and manage hot water energy use. The first is what we see here. It focuses on distribution. And the goal here is to design a more compact, consolidated hot water piping layout such that between the source, the hot water heater, or the recirc loop, if there is one, between that source and the furthest fixture, we're only storing a half gallon of water between that source and that furthest fixture. And then by the time, there's a field test for this, by the time that furthest fixture has collected 0.6 gallons of water, we've seen an initial to a final temperature increase in the flow of plus 10 degrees. So what that's basically telling you is that we don't have to flush through gallons and gallons of water before the hot arrives. And the benefit of that typically saves several thousand gallons of water per year that people otherwise just sit there and wait because it's too cold to take a shower. The common design options to get there are a wet wall, which works well in more compact floor plans. We've seen Habitat affiliates use that. Manifold systems where we have smaller diameter home run hot water lines going out to the fixtures. Or the third item is a demand pumping system, which does include the addition of a recirc loop and pump to move water through that. And again, I'm skipping over a few of the notes here for multifamily, but there are a few variances on this provision for multifamily buildings. So that was option A, which focused on distribution. Option B was recently added to the program about 1.5 years ago, and it focuses on the water heater efficiency and water conserving fixtures, as you see here. So in a nutshell, the water heater is going to be a tankless unit or a heat pump water heater. The WaterSense labeled fixtures will be used for shower heads and bathroom sinks. And then there is still a volume limit on the hot water that's stored between the hot water source and the furthest fixture. But you can see it's not a half gallon, it's much higher, it's at 1.2 gallons. That's simply a backstop to make sure that the distribution system isn't egregious and storing gallons and gallons of water. So this is option B. We can go distribution or focus more on the water heater equipment and the fixtures. Last piece to talk about in the Zero Ready specs, going above and beyond Energy Star, is solar readiness. And this is a set of no-cost, low-cost items that we'll see here that let the building more easily accommodate the additional solar into the future. So let's just document the load ratings for the roof and make sure the homeowner has them in their records so they don't have to pay an engineer to calculate them at some point in the future. It entails running conduit from the attic area down to the service panel that can later on be used to fish wiring through, allowing that area near the panel to install the other system components for a PV system, having a conduit from that area over to the panel, and then at the panel itself, either keep an open slot or include a dedicated circuit breaker to tie in the PV system at some point in the future. PV checklist provisions, the PV ready provisions, they're encouraged in areas that don't get quite as much solar, and then they're required in these high solar areas. Our specs include a website based on zip code where any project location can be looked up, and above 5 on this scale, those provisions are required, and below they're encouraged. I will say we have a lot of project partners in the encouraged areas that do this anyway, because again, they're no cost, low cost. And in some states, depending on policies and incentives, solar installations can be quite high, even if it's not one of these really sun-rich resource states. There are a few common sense exceptions in the specs as well. If there's lots of shading from nearby trees or buildings, or simply not enough available south-facing roof, a project would not have to implement the solar ready measures. So that is the step up, the delta between Energy Star and DOE Zero Energy Ready Home. And probably more than one of you right now are saying to yourself, okay, but what does it cost? Great question, very fair question. And we can't dial that in because we don't know the specifics of each and every project and affiliate. But here are some key considerations that will push that cost higher or lower. What's the base energy code in a given market? The more rigorous that energy code, the closer that just bare bones construction will be to Energy Star and DOE Zero Energy Ready. Does a given state or a given affiliate in a state already built an Energy Star version 3.1? Again, that sets the bar higher for the current building practices. So stepping up to DOE Zero Ready from that point will be less of a lift. And then a few of the items that are more take more planning and might incorporate higher costs if they're not already being done are listed here at the bottom. If we're in radon zone 1, hopefully passive radon mitigation is already being done, but if not, that would introduce that change. If we're in the hot, humid southeast, as we saw, again, ideally dehumidification is already being done, but if not, that would be a change ushered in by the Zero Ready program. And the duct location, if ducts are not already being put in a more ideal location, then that's another change to work through in the design phase. We do have a cost analysis that speaks to what are the energy savings and what are the added costs if we're code, either 09 or 2012, and we move to Zero Ready. And the second bullet's really important to note that in all the scenarios we looked at in the study, the monthly energy savings outweigh the added costs to cover the upgrades when they're rolled into a mortgage. So each and every month, the homeowner is better off, and net costs are lower for them as a result of building to Zero Energy Ready. And we'll point out that this study is available on the website. Here's an example we put together recently for Habitat, and it's a Habitat-specific cost example. And you can see the estimated added first cost to build to DOE Zero Energy Ready is estimated at $1,500 to $5,000, and you can see our sources down here. There's a case study done for a Florida affiliate, as well as our cost and savings analysis that established that range. Pretty wide range, probably covers most projects. And it doesn't account for credits, federal, state, or other credits or incentives. And then if we roll that cost into a mortgage at 0%, assuming a 0% 30-year fixed, you can see it's a very low added cost. Energy savings, on the other hand, are much larger, on the order of $50 per month. And that's based on 3 case studies of Habitat homes built to Zero Ready in Florida. And so you put those two numbers together and we see pretty substantial net monthly cash flow savings for that homeowner. And over the course of a 30-year loan, that adds up to tens of thousands of dollars in additional cash flow by virtue of building that higher performance home right out of the gate. We also note that there's significant but harder to quantify cost savings in the non-energy category from a more healthy indoor environment, from lower maintenance, and from greater future value of that home. So with that, I'm going to pause, and Sam, I'm going to hand the baton back to you to wrap it up with the last two sections.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Jamie. And let's bring it home and look at the recognition and what to do next. So looking at recognition, there are a number of opportunities for how Habitat for Humanity can be recognized for participation in the program, where a traditional market-based home builder would seek the differentiation and promotional opportunities with Zero Energy Ready Home. We think even Habitat for Humanity affiliates would benefit from being recognized for building such highly affordable and cost-effective homes for their constituents. So I'll go over a number of tools that we have that we think are there for the taking, off the shelf, that are highly effective. One is the logo itself for Zero Energy Ready Home. There are a number of customizable resources. Some of them are more tailored to the market-based builders, but I'll focus primarily on the homeowner manual and primarily on that basis, how you can help your homeowners be more educated before they move in. I'll talk about the Housing Innovation Awards, the Towards Zero, and the partner locator so people can find you. So moving up forward, the first thing is the logo itself. I think it's really important when projects are going, if there is signage, it's a great way to just add that to the Habitat name. In this case, of course, it's a market-based home builder, but Zero Energy Ready Home on the job site is a great way to really inspire all the workers, inspire the future homeowner, the community. This is a truly different home that will be so great for this affordable household. One of the ways I like to really also leverage the certifications attached to Zero Energy Ready Home is exemplified by this plaque by a home builder where they took all the certifications from Zero Energy Ready itself, Indoor Air Plus, and Energy Star, and they were also doing a green program, I think the NHB Green Building Standards, so they packaged those into a beautiful plaque coming in the home. It's a great way to make homeowners feel really proud of their home and all the extra care that went into building it, even for affordable families. So the logo is a very powerful tools, lots of ways of using it. I encourage all affiliates to really make it prominent when they do their projects. I mentioned there are a lot of customizable tools, but one I think is top of mind for me to feature to the Habitat for Humanity audience is the homeowner manual. I remember one of my very first Habitat for Humanity projects was way back when we began Energy Star in the mid-1990s, and we worked with a blitz build in Houston, and the report came back from one of the first homes built that the energy bill for cooling was so high. And when they went back, they found out that the homeowner just never had air conditioning before, didn't know how to use it, didn't know how to set the house at the right level, had it set way too low, and the bills were higher than expected just because of homeowner education was missing. So giving your home buyer even a Habitat for Humanity low-income household home buyer a manual when they move in is a great way to help them understand this is a special home. So here's one featuring the Habitat for Humanity Sarasota affiliate. And again, you see it can be customized with the logo and with the contact information as well. And you can layer in the actual picture of the home for a specific homeowner, as was done in this case. And I won't go through the details of the manual, except to say that the key goal here is to educate the homeowner that it is truly a different home. You know, it has 7 complete systems around the enclosure, water protection, comfort, components, health, solar ready, and all this enhanced quality. And then to educate them enhancement by enhancement exactly what's included in their home. So by example, for the thermal enclosure, it's by virtue of the high performance windows, the high performance insulation, the comprehensive draft protection that they have such a special home. And I think these homeowners would be so excited to learn about how special this home is for them and how it stands the test of time for the future. And if you notice at the bottom, there's a tip. Anytime work is being done in your home that involves wall penetrations or work is in your attic, make sure that the contractor is required to maintain the insulation levels and airtight construction. So very important tip. So often we have maybe a phone line being installed or someone doing some work repairing a system in the attic. You want to make sure that there's care and attention not to disrupt the good work that was done building it. So again, a very simple tip, great education, and this is done for each system that makes the Zero Energy Ready home a better home to live in. So that's the homeowner manual. Also, we love that the Habitat for Humanity affiliates are so well represented in our Housing Innovation Awards for Excellence. And once you are recognized with the Housing Innovation Award, those homes are automatically included in what we call our Tour of Zero. It's a virtual tour for interested consumers and stakeholders to go on our website and in any climate zone of interest to virtually walk through these wonderful homes that are constructed to Zero Energy Ready home. And the way it works basically is you go to the Tour of Zero right on our splash page on our website. You click on a climate zone of interest. You'll get a full list of homes that are there to view. And if I take one like Laurel Gardens from South Sarasota County Habitat for Humanity, I can immediately go and take a tour of that project. So here's Laurel Gardens, Pacific House is number 794. And one of the things we love is prominently featured with the images of the home is a key testimonial from the homeowner, usually sometimes from the builder. In this case, our energy costs are lower than ever, but our quality of life is higher. Again, I would ask you if that doesn't validate that this is so much more affordable to build a Zero Energy Ready home. And we have hundreds and hundreds of these testimonials that are available on our web on our resources page as well. But again, you have this testimonial that features the consumer experience, and then you can walk through the house to see the interior of the home. And again, we keep the testimonial there to keep reminding people this is a completely different homeowner experience. And we're so excited that particularly affordable households are getting to have this kind of experience and future value. If you walk through all the pictures to the end, often there's the technical images for the geeks that like to look at how the home is constructed to a higher level of performance. And very importantly, we feature the data, the numbers that also give evidence that this is a truly different kind of home. In this case, we summarize the key statistics. On the blue bar at the top, you have the square footage of the home. In this case, a typical Habitat home is about 1,200 square feet. This is 1,290, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 1 floor. It's a hot, humid climate. And then you have the HERS index score, consistent with what Jamie told you earlier. This is right on the average of about a 51 for a southern climate. And you have the average monthly bill 70, the savings is 600, but there you see the tens of thousands of lower cost over a 30-year mortgage aggregated to showcase, wouldn't it be silly not to invest a few more $1,000 or $1,500 to make this home zero ready and not miss out on this $26,000 of savings. It's such an amazing opportunity cost that you give up by not just taking it up to Zero Energy Ready home. And that's why we love the Tour of Zero, just to make the empirical evidence, provide the empirical evidence that these are powerfully the most affordable homes and the best experience homes for consumers. And there's a 30-year savings number that we just mentioned. Now, if we click the top where it says Habitat for Humanity, that will take you to the profile of that particular builder. In this case, Habitat for Humanity, South Sarasota County. And you see their awards, you see their contact information, you see geographically where they build, you see their accomplishments over time. And they've built 38 homes to date. If I was to look over here, so lots of great information, and it recognizes this particular affiliate so well. Now, if you scroll down a little further, you get a list of the key features included in the home. Very simple terminology. We're trying to be as clear without confusion as we can be, particularly for lay readers on the website. So it's a comprehensive draft protection instead of a one ACH 50 airtight home. Instead of a ventilation system, it's a fresh air system for cleaner indoor air. So you get a sense that we're trying to list the features in a way that people can truly understand them better. We have the full testimonial from which the highlight was featured earlier below the image. We have the floor plans. The Tour of Zero is a great way to see home after home with lots of great information why it's better. So there are the innovations with power words. There's a full consumer experience. Often there are videos, sometimes featuring the testimonials, sometimes featuring other aspects of construction and the floor plan. And if you click on the floor plan, of course, you'll get a larger PDF version that you can download if you want. So the Tour of Zero, very exciting. Love that way to really also showcase the consumer experience, as we mentioned, and we love that there's great representation by Habitat for Humanity affiliates. Okay, so what are your responsibilities as a partner if you do join this program? And the first is to take orientation training. Congratulations, you've just fulfilled that requirement by sitting through this webinar right now. The second is to provide the Zero Energy Ready Home certificate to each homeowner. Third, adhere to brand identity guidelines. We're basically insisting that partners don't use the logo on any homes that don't meet the program requirements. It's basically, that's the essence of our guidelines. And to stay active and featured on our website, we'll ask you to build and verify at least one home every 18 months. After 18 months, if there's no certified home, we just simply mothball your listing until such time as you might come active again by submitting another home. Note that you don't have to submit any information to us. We automatically track all the homes certified through our access to the ResNet registry of homes that are HERS rated. So we have access to the registry, we can find out about the homes, and there's no reporting requirements with Zero Energy Ready Home Partnership. And you can see the full agreement in terms and details on our website. To maintain your account, all we do is that you update the information if there are any changes, you add, delete, and edit contacts, you add and update your logo. If you want to add commitments like you're 100% or you're also doing WaterSense or fortified home, you can add extra recognition that will be featured on your listing on our website. It will give you access to key tools and resources, and particularly I mentioned the customizable resources that are only available for partners to, again, insert their logos, their contact information, often images, and things of that nature. And what we do ask partners to do is, since we are pulling the numbers directly through the ResNet registry, we ask that each year you do look at the number of certifications we're listing for you as a partner and make sure they are matched to the ones that you believe you've certified, just to keep the system honest. So that's basically recognition. And moving on to the last section, let's talk about how to get started becoming an Zero Energy Ready Home partner. So let's just talk about that. And I will say that everything about Zero Energy Ready Home was configured to align with Energy Star certified homes. If you look at the national requirements, the whole layout and how it's configured is exactly matching how it's done with Energy Star. We also use the exact same rater network, so the same HERS rater who's doing Energy Star can easily do Zero Energy Ready Home, often without any significant extra effort, because again, it's mostly checking either a more insulation or a higher SEER rating, or it's not so much doing more work. There are only a few cases, like with the, if they're looking at the hot water distribution system, or if they're also being asked to do the checklist for Indoor Air Plus, there might be a little bit more work for those additional requirements. They're going to use the same modeling software, and there are at least 3 different software packages that can be used to do the modeling for the HERS rating that has to be done. And it's the exact same plan review and site inspection protocol that's followed, the 2 field inspections and the plan review in the front end. So the process is identical by design. We want it to be an easy staircase from code to Energy Star to Zero Energy Ready Home. So the process for becoming a partner and staying active is first go online, and just in a couple of minutes you can fill out the information to become a partner. You will, as I mentioned, there's no need to pre-register the projects, much like often happens in the green programs. You do not need to do that, and there are no certification fees for Zero Energy Ready Home. It's only the verification fee where one's not provided pro bono by a HERS rater. We really recommend that you integrate the mechanical, electrical, plumbing trades and workers in the design process to optimize how they're integrated for least cost. You will need a rater to do the plan review and site inspections that we mentioned earlier. Project certification, again, is automatic when the rater submits his report to ResNet, Residential Energy Services Network. Through his software, it automatically goes into the ResNet registry, and we will be able to track it. No additional reporting needed for by the affiliate and his or her rater to the Department of Energy. And a builder, it will be credited with the certified home on our website. So we constantly keep including the additional accomplishments on the locator tool that we have. So that's basically it. I want to talk about wrapping up here. There are a lot of resources and what the next steps might be. So the key resources when you go to our website is there's a quick link to becoming a partner. Again, that will take you to the further links to filling out the partnership forms and to also accessing the partner-specific resources that you'll want to use. You also have our program specifications or national program requirements. You have the DOE Tour Zero. We have over 24 recorded webinars across all range of technical subject matter, marketing, sales, and even orientation and larger webinars about the program. And we do have a marketing toolkit with a tremendous array of resources to promote your partnership. I mentioned earlier the logo and the homeowner manual by example. So really the next step for you is to hopefully make some determination that, as we feel, this is an incredibly well-aligned program with the mission for Habitat for Humanity, that you want to give it a go and just get yourself signed up as a partner and recognize that you have tremendous resource with the Newport partner team that's helping us implement the Zero Energy Ready Home program. You can get to them with that email address at the bottom, zero@newportpartnersllc.com, and they are incredibly responsive and will give you all the help you need. So I hope you agree this is a really special program. We'd love to work with Habitat affiliates. We'd love to keep growing our presence in this amazing program, providing affordable housing all across the country and globally. Thank you so much for listening to this webinar for both myself and Jamie. Thank you very much.